Hey folks, welcome back to Dusty Tracks BC. Have another guest with us here, Paul, and I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Paul Hamilton. I work for AQ'AM Community Enterprises, otherwise known as ACE, on the economic development file. And one of the things we're doing is working on a project which will eventually have us growing lettuce and other leafy greens and herbs in a sea can. The unit is called the Growcer, and it's something that should be happening later this year, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, not too far off, is it?
Well, hopefully not. No,
Yeah.
we've just got to get our groundwork under control and some of our site details confirmed, and then the unit itself is very close to being built or completed. So we could be in business by late spring, early summer, hopefully.
Yeah.
What sort of? That's quite fast.
Yeah.
What sort of groundwork is needed to house this sort of infrastructure?
Very little, actually. We need a level site. We can either build a level base, or we can put it on screw piles, just depending on how the site survey comes back. The site we are intending to use already has a power hookup, although we may need to upgrade the power a bit, and then we need water hookup, but just domestic amounts are fine.
Oh yeah.
The actually has about 6,000 litres in circulation at any given point in time. The water gets changed twice a year unless there are sort of unforeseen circumstances.
Right.
So in between those two flushes, it's really just a case of topping up the water that's lost to transpiration.
Wow. And a residential hookup, I thought, in my mind it would be like a little bit more of a skookum system or something, not geared toward residential housing.
No, it doesn't need a huge amount of water. I think it takes about 20% of the water it would take to grow a crop outdoors.
That's quite astonishing.
I think that was right. Was it 20%?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot less. Yeah. So it's more beneficial to have one of these units than actually growing in an actual field, right? Because we have more control over this. It's a controlled environment. So our water usage is very less than what you would normally use outdoors.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you know off the top of your heads the power consumption that one of these units would take?
I think it's 400 kilowatts is the availability supply. You wouldn't necessarily be using all that at any given time, but that's what we're recommended to have as a supply source. And I think our existing supply on the site is half of that, so we might need to do an upgrade. Okay.
And that would be for I'm imagining a pump.
Yeah.
A heater, like AC unit.
Yeah, they have a all-in-one unit which controls humidity, heat, so it will cool or heat as necessary. Heat being necessary in Western Canada in the winter.
Yeah.
And actually cooling being necessary in the summer. We get both extremes in this location. We've recently had minus 30 something, and come July, August, we'll be battling with plus 30 something. So we need all of that. So I think they call it a high vac unit.
Yes.
And it sits on the top of the unit and wraps down one end.
Okay.
Looks a bit like an air conditioner, but there's actually more to it than that. So that would probably take the most power, actually. Because as you can imagine, with fans and compressors and all of that stuff, that would take quite a bit of powering up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas the lights, particularly the ones that are on when there's no one in the unit, I think are all LED lights, so they wouldn't actually take up a huge amount of power.
Yeah, like a UV LED type of grow LED.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the colour spectrum is quite important. So lots of debates about red versus blue. Right. Which is about growing lettuce, not about your favourite soccer team or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious. You said the water the water changing,
Yeah.
or the water amount per unit,
Yeah.
and then changing that water out, like cycling out the water, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
And it being hydro, I'm guessing it would be also nutrients fed through the
Yes,
water.
exactly. So you're feeding the nutrients into the water to replace those that are taken out. And the water is effectively just doing a cycle within the unit. So that continues through different growing cycles. You don't change the water every time you plant plants, because that's almost a continuous process. You aim to have a harvest it takes 6 weeks to grow a crop, but you're aiming to harvest and plant every week. So you divide the unit into 6, I think, 6 parts.
Yep.
So you're effectively harvesting and planting a sixth of it every week. So it's just like a continuous conveyor belt process.
Right.
And you do need to recharge the water with nutrients, because obviously the plant's taking the nutrients out. But you're not changing the water every time.
Okay.
You're just doing that twice a year. If you had any sort of plant health issue, you might possibly have to change the water under exceptional circumstances, but I think that's not particularly common.
Okay, that's the green light for like a domestic water hookup.
Yeah.
Right. And when you guys went and checked out the trailers themselves,
Yeah.
did they say anything to you guys about like hard water versus like soft water, I guess, or like any kind of issues with buildups in the pumps, or?
I don't recall them saying that. I don't think it would be a particular problem from the growing perspective, other than that it might affect the acidity of the water, and the idea is to have the water slightly on the acid side of neutral. So I guess lime scale could be an issue from that perspective, and obviously, as you say, it could be an issue as regards to the longevity of the pumps. So I think if you had a particular issue with your water, and we are doing water testing before we hook up, that might possibly be a recommendation, but it wasn't something that featured in the training. When we actually commission the unit, we will have a team here from the Growcer in Ottawa who will be with us to help us hook up and get started, which is very comforting and reassuring.
That's right. Yeah, Ashley was saying earlier that they send a team out.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep. They'll send a team out with the Growcer unit, help us set it up, help us get our crops figured out and planted, and they also helping with marketing and branding and stuff like that. Yeah, they're very solid company. Like they want us to succeed, so they're going to support us to do so.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And also, like when you're starting a new venture or anything, having that oversight, the guidance from someone that knows, it's like an encyclopedia, but they have 2 legs attached.
Yeah, well that's right, and they're very built out in terms of the differing expertise that they need on the team. So whether it's construction, or whether it's plant health and agronomy, or whatever it happens to be, they've got their own experts in house. So all of the training was conducted by Growcer team members, and all of the onboarding will be with Growcer team members, and all of the support will also come from Growcer team members. So that also is great to know, because I have an agricultural background and have been a farm manager stroke farm advisor for most of the last 40 years in some capacity or another, but never hydroponics. It's always been, out in the field or out in the yard or whatever. So this is very new from that perspective. So it's good to know that that there's somebody there who we can have on.
That's great.
All the time.
Yes,
That's a really handy.
And they help with like everything. So we buy all our equipment through them, all our seeds, and you know, everything like that. And one thing I like to say about the water, so like Paul said that it has to be changed every 2 years or twice a year. That water, like we don't necessarily have to waste that water. It's full of nutrients. We can actually donate that water to our community garden that we have here on AQ'AM First Nation.
That's a great cycle.
Yeah.
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 I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because it would probably have some leftover residual nutrients from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you've got the balance right, there shouldn't be a lot in it, but inevitably there will be some nutrients in it.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so we're not wasting water, right? So
Yeah.
that goes along with ACE being a divert company and ecosystem and eco-friendly and recycling and reusing, right? Yeah.
Well, even if you just do it to recharge the adjacent pasture, it would be something, because particularly in the summer when well, if we have more summers that are as hot and dry as last summer, we'll be glad of the opportunity to
Oh yeah.
to splash some water on.
It's a hot, dry one. Are you able to disclose how much a single package is? Like,
A single unit,
yeah.
it's in the region of $400,000. So
And that's start to finish, or is that with the course that you guys did?
that includes the course, and it includes some of the startup and onboarding costs, not all of them, but some of them. It wouldn't include the groundworks that we need to hook it up. So we'd have to sort out the base it's going to stand on and make sure that we can supply utilities to it. But the unit as delivered that's approximately what it costs. So it also includes a hub. So at this point in time, we will have just the one unit attached to it, but there's potential to add 3 additional units to the hub.
Okay.
So you could have 4 of these things side by side.
Yeah, and they would all be ground units. I'm guessing with, like you're describing, the AC unit at the back.
Yes.
I'm guessing that takes away the stackability of them.
Yes, it would. Yeah. I mean, if you did, I haven't heard of them being stacked, but if you stack them, you'd pretty much have to have
Stairs.
Yeah.
and you'd have to have legs so that you cleared the high vac unit.
Right.
Yeah, and generally how they have it is they have a hub unit and then they have the grocer units and you can tack on the grocer units like that.
Okay.
And then the hub is like the front where the office, and if you were going to do like a mini store so people could come in and buy fresh greens, that's what that unit would be for.
Okay.
Because the hydroponic sea cans are actually a controlled environment, so they're very sanitary. So before you even get in there, you have to put your hair back, you got to take off your shoes, you got to do sterilization, and you're wearing coats, right? It's a very sterile environment. So we're trying to keep bugs or germs or any other things that we don't want in there separate from the food that's growing. Right? So it's a very controlled environment.
Do you want to show a picture?
Show the picture.
This is the outside. They're looking at the outside right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining a situation and probably some kind of shoe protective thing, or maybe
Yes.
Yeah.
You do. You
completely new kit.
have those plastic things on your shoes.
If you're working there on a regular basis, you just have your own pair of indoor Crocs or whatever, and then we wear
inside suit and outside
outside
clothes.
shoes, and then you wear hair nets, and then there is masks if we have to wear them, and then there's also the white trench coats, so you feel like you're a doctor or a chemistry major.
Yeah.
We aren't doctors, we're just doctoring the plants.
Yeah.
Doctoring that KLF.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a couple of commercial refrigerator units in the hub as well, so you can short-term store the harvested crop in there. Our intention will be to supply it fresh to our outlets, which initially will be the trading post here. Our hope is that it will be just on the other side of the road from the trading post.
Oh, not a far commute at all.
Yeah,
No.
like right over here across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the hotel and resort, who are very excited about the potential of growing your own veg on the doorstep. So they will likely be our biggest single customer. And then Community Connections, which is a community organisation in Cranbrook, are also having one of these units. and they will be supplying to the local community there as part of the food security initiative. So if we're not moving everything initially, there'll be a potential outlet for us as well, which is very comforting to know, because when you start something new, it's pretty challenging to go from 0 to 100% marketed product within 6 weeks from
That is a big challenge.
Yeah, from a standing start. So to know that we've got somebody that will take anything that we can't move is really good to know. But our intention going forward would be to build on it, so to hopefully get more demand from the local community, because it's good and it's fresh and it's on their doorstep. To develop the business with the resort, which includes the hotel, casino and golf course. And there's 2 restaurants there, 3 restaurants, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, they got Numa, which is in the lounge, and then they have the restaurant. I think it's part of Numa, and then they have the golf course, the 19-hole lounge.
That's right. Is there one in the casino as well? Or?
Oh yeah, there's one in the casino.
Yeah, so there's 3 restaurants over there. Yeah. Apparently, the experience that the Growcer organisation have had to date suggests that the most effective way to market the veg is so you can put together veg boxes and people can order them online and have them delivered to their doorstep. So whilst it's the most lucrative way to do something, to market the produce, it takes time to kind of set it up, get it known, and sort of develop that side of it. So we will tend towards doing more of that as we get into it more.
Audience question?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just curious if you guys can talk about why having local food growing organic, fresh would be important. What difference could it make to the community to have that food source?
Well, I think we see it as a food security initiative, and I think not just for this community, but in a post-COVID world. I mean, who hasn't seen, including very recently, occasions when you go into the supermarkets and you can't get the vegetables you're looking for? That's happened to me within the last couple of weeks. That gone into the local supermarket and their veg shelves have been pretty sparse, and I think with increasing demand, with production issues, transportation issues, and the very volatile world we're living in now, food security is a thing and may well stay front and centre for quite some time. I felt through most of my career that it's something that people talked about, but it wasn't really an issue. Actually, we had loads of food. It wasn't always in the right place, and a lot of it ended up getting wasted, but there was lots of it. But actually, in the last 2 or 3 years, food security has become more of an issue. So I think that was our initial motivation, was food security. And then beyond that, health benefits of having fresh food, fresh green vegetables on site. I mean, which of us eats enough fresh? And it's also an opportunity for members of the community to get involved in the production cycle, and if we're successful with it, there's the opportunity to build it out initially to as many as 4 units, and that will create some jobs in the community, which would be also very exciting. We also have a ranch close by, and we're hoping to do high-end beef, pork, chicken and eggs in due course. So we see the potential to have the grocer as part of a food hub in this immediate area, which would include the unit itself, would include the ranch, would include the trading post, and would include the resort and campground just down the road. So we'd like to join all those dots up together and add a kind of social aspect to it as well. Pergola and coffee and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Something similar to like a very localized farmers market.
Yeah,
But instead of a farmers market, it's the community market.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah,
That's a really good point. Food sovereignty and growing your own stuff is, like you said, like talked about and then not really worried about, and now, in the last couple of years, seeing how easy it is to have, transportation issues. Huge, very volatile there sometimes.
Yeah.
New carbon tax on fuel, so the time we get our food in the grocery stores, it's so upmarked that it's draining our pocket, and we're finding it very expensive to buy groceries. Well, here we get to knock off some of that prices because we're not importing it in from anywhere, and so we don't have to pay those extra carbon taxes that they're gonna apply to everything else before it gets to the market for selling, right? So it is going to be affordable, hopefully, for the community. Also, it's going to be very fresh, right? So I know for a fact I don't like eating or buying lettuce from the store in the wintertime because it's gross.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it's off season. So if having the unit, it's an all year season unit, and we'll have fresh veggies and green leafy stuff, they call it, on a regular basis.
and perhaps in due course, if we're successful with it, we might have strawberries as well.
Yeah. The strawberries I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we both are. The potential for strawberries is, I think, tremendous. I mean, who doesn't like strawberries?
I mean, maybe people that are allergic to them, but that's a very small percent of people. Yeah.
And well, the Growcer are doing quite a lot of work on strawberries at the moment. They've got 2 experimental units in the back of their office building in Ottawa, and a lot of the strawberries that you buy here at the moment are imported. They're very large. When you cut them, they're white inside. These are kind of more traditional strawberries. They're smaller. They would be about that sort of size.
Right.
When you cut them, they're red right the way through, and they're much sweeter.
And juicy.
They're juicy, yeah. So I think it's like, in my case, going back to how strawberries were when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I think if we actually got to the point, we'd have to have a separate unit, because as part of their growing cycle, they like a 90% humidity shock at some point, and we don't like that, and most of the other plants we're growing don't like that either. So they would need a secant to themselves. But I think
Strawberry secant.
yeah, exactly. And I think if we went down that path in due course, I think they'd be very popular, and they become very popular very quickly.
If you could buy local, fresh strawberries that weren't that, because you usually pick everything green when you're traveling. I'm sure we both know, buying local, well, not local, buying fruit produce or any sort of vegetable that's traveling. It's like sometimes it's picked extremely green and then kept in the cooler, and having that fresh strawberry readily available in your local area. Down
the road, I think that will potentially be our hook. That will be what we get people here. And
well, we could have a strawberry sundae bar when the Trading Post gets their ice cream unit in.
I mean, with the grade A beef you're talking about, you can couple dairy cows there, and then you're eating off of a less than 200 kilometer diet.
Well, that's
ice
right.
Cream?
Yeah.
And the chef at the hotel, who would love to get his Michelin Green Star, is very enthusiastic about this whole enterprise. So that's exciting to us too, because it's great to have the opportunity to do this, and we're very excited about it anyway. But it's better yet when you have other people who you're going to be working with who are equally excited and see the potential in the unit and the enterprise to help them meet some of their own objectives. So Matt, that's the chef's name, he is particularly keen on the ranching side too, and using the ranch for high-end specialty meat production together with eggs.
Right.
So you're gradually getting more and more of your diet and more of your menu, in the case of the restaurant, that's actually being sourced almost on the doorstep.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining having that extra momentum of a well-established restaurant or anyone that is interested in it behind that is key to building more into it.
And we want to build that chain, but in order for it to happen, whether it's the trading post or the hotel, the other partners in the enterprise need to want that too for it to be successful, and they do. So we hope that will help us a lot.
Yeah, and it's good because we do have support within the community. I think SEM, which is St. Eugene Mission, the resort, is a huge supporter of us, and that also brings more to their business also. They can promote fresh food, right? Because where does it come from? It gets shipped from Cisco or wherever, and how long has it been sitting in the warehouse for? And that's every chef's dream, is to promote fresh food.
Yeah.
That's a Gordon Ramsay thing.
Yeah.
There are numerous seasonal dishes that everyone's like, do you have this in right now? And it's seasonal. It's not in season, but
no, that's right.
If you had those units, that would be phenomenal.
No, that's a very good point, because for a lot of crops, their natural season is in any given location is very short. So to be able to prolong the season, particularly for something like lettuce, because lettuce is kind of a staple in so many dishes. And if it's only really possible to get good local lettuce in the summer, for example, that's fine to a point, because you probably need more of it in the summer. More people are eating salads more often. But you also need it in the winter, because they're offering a salad option with every dish, pretty much.
Often when we're on the road, it's so we'll gravitate toward.
Yes.
That's fine. I mean, it makes sense to me completely. Eating local stuff, and having that diet of like, your buddy down the road just got a deer or whatever. Maybe they have cows or something, and absolutely, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But I hope more people can be encouraged into eating more fresh local produce.
Yeah, and I think it's making sense to more people.
Yeah.
All the time. So we're kind of trying to ride a wave that's there to be.
Yeah.
Surf. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. I'm continually taking notes every time we go to a different area and there's cool little things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, next year when you guys come back, you'll see all the updated stuff that we're telling you about.
That would be phenomenal. We'd love to take a tour.
It would be phenomenal.
Then we can actually walk you through the unit and take you for a joyride up to the ranch, and we can do all sorts of things. We can take you to Nectanic once it gets built. Yeah, remember we also have the gravel pit.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we missed in regards to Growcer or the ranch or food sovereignty in the area? You'd like to touch on?
I think we touched the main points. As we build it out, there will be a lot more to talk about. But the next step is to get it here and get it commissioned. And as Ashley says, hopefully you'll come back and take a look.
Yeah, we'd love to. March. Is that when the unit lands?
Well, it's supposed to be here this March.
Yes.
This March.
Well, the construction, it's been built in Winnipeg. It's close to being complete. So apart from issues with getting our site secured and prepared, this is not a great time to be delivering and receiving and connecting up any sort of unit or building. Although it's still unseasonably warm at the moment, but we're hoping that come springtime we will be able to get it here and get it all hooked up, and we're hoping that by late spring, early summer we'll be growing things.
And jump on it.
Yeah. Yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Yeah. With one last question, did you folks have any grants, or do you know of any grants now that you've started the process?
Yeah, we did have a grant. I think the organisation is called IFA, and it is an agricultural grant awarding body, and they have financed the construction and purchase phase of the project. We are also looking at a grant for site preparation from the New Relationship Trust, but at this point in time we haven't secured that, although the New Relationship Trust have and are supporting us on a number of other projects. So yeah, that has been, well, invaluable help to us to get this thing.
That's quite huge.
Yeah, because it's a big it's a big upfront investment for the community, and also it's something new. It's not as though it's adding to something that we've been doing before. It's a completely new venture. So to be able to get it here and have it paid for before we start is a great boost in terms of getting it set up and having it generate money which we can use to continue to support and develop the project.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm extremely happy for you guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing the beautiful strawberries that come out of there.
Yeah. Yes. All of us are. But that's a few steps in the future.
Oh yeah.
First of all, lettuce, leafy greens, and herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of great salads, I'm sure, before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of these plants have slightly different growing cycles. So the recommendation, which will disappoint the chef slightly, is that you can't grow a laundry list of things in one container. You've really got to limit it to probably 6 to maybe a maximum of 8 different plants, 2 of which might be different sorts of lettuce.
Right.
So otherwise you're just making too many compromises on how you're setting the thing up from a growing point of view, that it's not actually right for anything. It's just the least worst option.
Yeah.
So you want to take about half a dozen complementary plants in terms of growing cycles and limit it to that. So we haven't got to doing that bit yet. We don't know exactly what that will look like. We'll have to sit down again with the chef, I think, and determine what he most wants to have from us, and also what we would want to sell to the local community as well, or make available to the local community.
I know off the top of my head, in the soil realm of things, I'm not a super familiar with hydroponics, but an easy pairing is basil and tomatoes. They grow quite well together, and they're symbiotic somewhat.
I think that was mentioned actually in the training,
soil.
wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm not sure about
No,
hydroponics.
I think that applies with the unit too.
Yeah.
Because it's not only just in the soil, because I've had massive gardens in my lifetime, and where it is we always have to rotate your crops in that area. So if you planted potatoes in that area, switch them and move them. So so certain vegetables like potatoes, beans, and corn love each other, right? The 3 sisters. And then also like you were saying, like tomatoes and carrots really like being with each other, right? And so I think it's more of a being in the same area, but they also share pollination tools, which are bees and wind and butterflies and other bugs. But generally, that's how they are reproduce through pollination.
Yeah. Tomatoes in a closed environment would be a little challenging. For sure. Yeah. That's
little tomatoes.
Wow. Maybe be in there hand pollinating.
Yeah.
I asked them how they did that because I was very confused about the whole strawberry unit. I was like, strawberries have flowers. I'm like, and so I brought one of the guys. I was like, how are you pollinizing these? And he's like, oh, you want me to show me? So he had like this. It was like an electric toothbrush, but on the end was a little bumblebee. So it would vibrate and he would touch every flower. And he said, this is the slow way of doing things. But he says, now, I said, so what are you using now? And he's actually using a vacuum unit that blows. And so he's going around blowing all the pollination around in the room. And he says, I'm getting a really good outcome with this. And it's a lot faster than touching every flower.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because what are you going to be blowing other than maybe some dead leaves?
Mm.
Yeah. So, and all that was in that unit was strawberries.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to worry about really much of anything. Because I was like, how are you doing this? Like, do you guys bring bees in? Do you bring butterflies in? Like, how are you pollinating these flowers? And he's like, with this little thing. He's like, this is what I was doing before. Yeah, a little bee stick. Bzz, bzz, bzz. But he's like, now I use a vacuum cleaner unit and it blows and it spreads the pollen. And he says, we're having a good outcome with this.
That's
like,
great.
That's cool.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could implement that at home as well.
In your bathroom?
In our spare grow room.
We soon need a new bathroom
Yeah.
to use what you normally use the bathroom for.
Oh, we have an extra, so I was like, how could we use this space? Anyway, another story. Not for now. Thank you both for sitting down with me.
Well, thanks for taking the time to
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you shared a lot of knowledge
come
there.
out and
and
visit
it's
with us. It's great.
very excited to see where that goes in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
Looking back in on this for sure.